Welcome to Founders Unplugged, hosted by Greg McCallum. Long-form, honest conversations with founders and entrepreneurs from around the world. This is part 2 of this episode. Be sure to check out part 1 if you haven't already. Link in the description.
Okay, and we're back for part 2 with Xander. If you haven't checked out part 1, I very much recommend you do. Otherwise, much of the context of what we're going to be talking about here will be lost on you. So yeah, in the end of part 1, I was saying about how I wanted to ask a bit more about sort of some of the insights you have and how they could transfer over to the main audience for this show, which is mostly startup founders themselves, directors and CEOs and things like that, business owners, right? Essentially. So there was 2 topics I really wanted to pick your brains on, given that it's kind of in your wheelhouse. So business development as a whole, just sort of taking a real step back from the content creator space and just looking at as a both a skill set, as a career path and everything. What would you say is some words of wisdom, I guess, to put you on the spot a little bit about business development as a skill set, as a process, especially given your area, which is probably trying to attempt to reach people that are quite difficult to reach otherwise, right? Presumably, there's a lot of gatekeeping. They purposely remain quite elusive so they're not bombarded with nonsense online. What would you say are some of the key things for people to know if they're looking to enter into business development for the first time, quite often for their own businesses?
Great question. I think one of the most important things is to be as personable as possible. You do have to adapt into certain situations, and I think most importantly, being yourself is pretty up there. Like it's hard to explain. It is hard to explain, but I'll get some advice out at some point.
If you talk long enough, some words of wisdom are bound to fall out. That's what I find. I built a career on that.
Yeah, I know, right? But I think for business development, it's persistence more than anything. To be honest, like you've got to know your market, you've got to know the people that you want to be talking to, and you've just got to stay in touch and not be too overbearing. Like I've made mistakes with that in the past. I've probably been too overbearing. It's more because of my desire to get this up, to have this be a success is like it's there, but there's also you learn that it's like every couple of days or every few days or like, and then you space it out, and then you just constantly keep hitting them with new things and trialing or hitting them on different platforms and trialing, because there's so much noise that goes on with different people, like their personal lives, business life. There's a lot that goes on. Like even yourself, you got to put yourself in their shoes and just be like, if you're getting bombarded with stuff, what is it that's actually going to make you go back and respond? I think that's obviously massive. That's where the sales has helped kind of level up to that business development, and I think it then gives you a better understanding of wider partnerships, and it's very top line here. So it's like, like you do this, we do this, we definitely should be working together. Or, looking at it like you have a really interesting service, I know someone else who could do something really good for you, and just connecting those people and being able to bring that in. I think it's all about being as open-minded as possible and open to opportunities. I think one of the things that as a business development as well, depending on where you are as like director founder, if you're getting a lot of inbound interest and you just don't know what to do, like I think as valuable as your time is, you do have to explore every opportunity that does come in at the start, because there are calls, there have been meetings that I've been like, I'm not sure what's going to come out of this, but my rule of thumb is to be on every single call, or at least give everyone a little bit of time to then get some value or provide some value. And there's been many a times where I've not seen the opportunity, not seen the interest, not seen what we can actually do for them, what they can do for us, but got on it and then found something that's massively, it's a massive opportunity for a lot of other partners, or something for the company, or there's loads of times where, and if I had just gone, oh no, like we'll push this back to next week, or we won't do this call, then, or not reorganize it, then I would have missed out on so many opportunities. And that's why it keeps teaching me to keep going and keep being persistent and just hear everyone out. I think it's a lot of listening and then connecting dots in your own head, rather than being, because a lot of times you can go after something and you get sucked into the tunnel vision of being like, this is what we need, and then missing out on all the other opportunities or all the other people that you could meet along the way who also know the right person for you to be speaking to, and to get something really amazing off the ground.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. I think you said a couple of things there that like a couple of just sentences, words that really resonated with me, like the listening part,
Yeah.
and also what value can you bring to it. Those are things that are always super interesting to me, because that's how I've always approached sales in the past. I spent 15-20 odd years in sales, and then sales leadership, and then into executive leadership in commercial. And like my number one principle was always like, come to the table with more value than you're proposing to take. Right. And it's the same even with interactions and things like that. I mean, even this, the whole point of this is I want my guests to feel like they're getting the most value out of being here. This isn't about me. This is about, highlighting my guests, what they do, what they've got to teach. So it's like, I think that's a super important principle to just have in business in general, is always try and find those opportunities to give way more than you take. And inevitably, I think things find a way in the world of balancing out eventually. But and listening is an incredibly important one, right? For sure, because that's the very fundamental basis of discovery in a way, right? It's like, how are you going to help someone with your solution unless you know that your solution can help them? And the only way to do that is to understand what their problems might be. So getting people to open up about what they might be, about them, and all that is super important to know if there's a fit, if you guys can stand working together. Even that on principle basis is like, is there a fit, from that level, can you see each other working with each other over a long period of time? Because business development is about relationship as well, right?
For sure. I think that's what I'm saying. One of the most important things is being personable and having to adapt to different people. I think you have to have a really good read of what people are like and what their interests are. Asking the questions about the other person and their business, and seeing what else is kind of is going on, just to see if there's anything that they say that's going to, and then you get onto the listening, right? And then that's where you're connecting the dots. But for you now, I know you said that directors, co-founders, etc., are the ones that are listening to the podcast. What is it? A massive variety of businesses? Is it more products? Is it more services? Like,
it's fairly varied, but it seems to mostly be within tech, right? Tech startups that are my main audience. I don't know, like if you're listening and you're not in that business, then feel free to harass me in the comments about it. But yeah, predominantly it seems to be. But just because that's the space I'm in, right, in the sort of tech startup world, and as an advisor, the number one thing I'm usually asked to help people with is sales skills, right? To some degree, because it's usually people who don't come from a sales background, and obviously if they've gone out and they've built a product and they're just like, right now, how do I sell it? And it's like, okay.
I think there are different people and different attributes, because like the tech startups, tech founders, I could never do what they've done. They're super smart, they're very well motivated in that area, and then it's and but I think I've even had conversations with founders and startups, and when I'm asking them about like their outreach, and they're like, oh yeah, I would have done like 10 emails in a week and then just been like, that'll do. And it's like, really? It's a very different game. It's a numbers game. It's a massive numbers game, and it's obviously very personable and just constantly adapting and improving, and 1% improvement. There's, the same way that you would apply it to your tech, you've got to apply it to your sales skills and your sales strategy, right? And then the business development beyond that is thinking, what is it that my product or my service could be of real value to? What industry is it? Because like, for example, Wild Vision, you know, we started, when I first joined, it was just Facebook and Snapchat, essentially. Like that was those are the two platforms. I know when I first started, they were like, our goal is to be providing 10 different sources of passive income to every creator that we work with. And now we're looking at Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, OTT platforms. So that's your smart TV apps. We've also, so, you know, Fire TV, Sky. We've also partnered with Microsoft. We're also looking to partner with Spotify. My colleague and I have spent over 2 years brokering this deal between us and airlines to get creators' content onto in-flight entertainment, and that is a gatekeeped industry to a T. You know, they're like also 15 years behind in terms of tech, in terms of knowledge of what's actually going on. You know, that was a very big uphill battle, but it's been such a rewarding one. And I think as well as just staying on top of the trends that you see within your own industry, that you're like, you know, I think a scroll through LinkedIn is great. You know, that you've just got to be connected to the right people to see what else is going out there and be like, oh, that's actually really interesting, and not being afraid to just go and message them. And, you know, if you're really trying to get in touch with a platform, message at least 50 different people who are going to be, if it's a big corporate company, like, you know, you've got to be hitting them up and being like, I think there's a really great opportunity here. You know, that even if you get one response and it's not the right one that you need, they might be able to help you. They might not want to help you, but then that's fine. It's like, cool, like maybe not now, but sometime in the future. And then being persistent in trying to get what you see and you feel and you believe is a great partnership between your product, your service, and another company. That's where it's really hard to I don't think you can teach that as much as you can have it, because you've put all your energy into your product and into your service, whereas you need someone else to kind of come in and be like, I love what you've done here. I need to go down. I now need to put my energy into getting it in with other businesses and other opportunities and scaling this to the level that I see, feel, and believe that this is going to get to.
But it's funny you said, because of the founders that I see that end up being the most successful is they do both, because they're relentless. They're relentless about the pursuit of their dream and their passion of, you know, bringing their business, their product, their service, whatever, to the world, and they're just not going to, you know, take failure as an answer. That, you know, and the problem often is that there's so much work, like you said, put into building the product or the business that there is no time left, no room left for that, and it does require an enormous amount of energy and time. And yeah, like 10 emails a week isn't going to cut it. Like, there has to be a relentless attitude towards it. And quite often, a lot of the advice I'm giving people when they ask me, like, oh, what should I do? Because of the immediate question I get asked isn't actually about sales, it's about marketing. And I'm like, you're asking the wrong question. You know, it's sales before marketing. Like, you don't
100%.
have money. Why are you talking about marketing? Marketing is, I always describe it as, it's the equivalent of going to a casino. You might get some winnings out of it, but you've probably got to walk in there expecting to lose the money you're walking in with, right? So you don't do it unless you're in a position where you know you can afford to lose that money, because it takes time and resources to figure that out too. So it should be sales before marketing. You've got to make that money before you can spend it and, you know, potentially throw it away. And so I'm like, you should be knocking on doors, taking names, like, you know, like, do the hard, dirty work.
Due diligence, yeah,
like, you go out there, like, and actually, you know, be absolutely relentless. And I think some of the pushback that quite often comes from that is just, oh, but I don't want to annoy people. I don't want to give people the wrong perception. I don't want to, you know, give myself a bad name, or, you know, the brand too early. It's like, you're not that important, mate. You know, people aren't gonna remember that. They'll forget that in 5 minutes. If you've been a bit too, you know, like you said that you were a few times, like if you're a bit too annoying, or, you know, but whatever, you'll learn from it. They're gonna forget in 5 minutes. You'll remember that forever, right? You know, it's the reality, isn't it? Like, you know, but if it means it gets you those marginal gains, 1% better, like you say, every time you do it, so that eventually you can start absolutely knocking it out of the park, well, keep doing it. I think that honestly think that's the mistake a lot of business owners make personally, is they don't keep going, you know.
I think yeah, that's 100%, 100% right. But I also think in person and online are very different spaces. And if you're,
Yeah.
I think the value that you can add in person, if you've got a bit of personality about you, or, you know, like, even if you don't, like, you need to put yourself in that situation and put yourself in front of people who will ask you questions, or, you know, even there's so many events that you can organize meetings, and then you can, you know, partner up with them and be like, right, okay, think about it a little bit more. What do I actually want to get out of this meeting? What's my agenda? What questions do I want to ask them? You know, it's more that way round, rather than I want to sell my product. It's more
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
finding out what their issues are and how can I help them provide the solution. You know, and I think when you're messaging people on LinkedIn, or you're doing a bunch of email outreach and then getting them on a call, you know, it's great, and you can form a relationship with them. But there's been so many times where I've worked with agencies in the US, and I've been on calls with them for over 2 years, and then finally get to go to an event, and they're there, and you just have this bond that's like amazing. You know, you never will get that continuing just going through video meetings or LinkedIn messages. And I think today's society in particular, it's a lost art to be able to go up to people, talk to people, and be very personable, and have and enjoy a conversation. And like, you can have these conversations and develop real relationships with people that isn't always discussed around business, or, you know,
Right.
solutions and problems. It's also just like kind of getting to know this person, this background story of like where they actually came from, what they actually used to do, like family, kids, you know, why are they here? Whether, you know, we've all just flown in from wherever to meet in this place because we have a common shared like interest, goal, or whatever. Like, we're all in the same boat here. We're all trying to make more money. We're all trying to help each other out. And I love that about the creator economy as well. That's something that's very good, especially in the US. UK is a bit more restricted, and that's why I'm trying to build that up over here.
Yeah, so it was just a bit more restrained in the UK, I think, with the way that we talk about these
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
I think we're a bit further behind in terms of, like, you know,
Right.
I think there's a lot of trust issues. It's really weird, but you know, I think a lot. It's breaking down those walls slowly but surely, like chipping away, and just showing up. I think being there at events, people will eventually just start coming up and talking to you, catching up, and like, you'll go off, do your own thing, and then you come back, and then there's you know, some creators or some agencies that I wouldn't have been able to work with a couple of years ago, but now I've got new offerings and new things that I've been working on. They've also got new creators that they've signed and have got on board, and now it's a chance for us to actually finally partner together. But because the relationship's already there now, you know, it slots together really nicely.
Yeah. There's some other really interesting aspects about, I guess, from my audience's perspective, and in what you do, that there's a lot of crossover as well, which is now it's becoming, and it has been for a while, I suppose, almost part of, and you kind of touched on it there, part of the course, if you're a founder or a CEO, to think about your own personal brand, to think about what you know, how you can have potential influence as a content creator. I'm a good example of that. I'm a founder. I'm an advisor. I create content. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got followers on TikTok, etc., right? And this is becoming more and more prevalent as a thing.
Hi, a friendly reminder to share this episode with your network, like, and subscribe. And if you are feeling really supportive, please consider reviewing the show on the podcast platform of your choice. It all really helps support what we do. Thank you. Now back to the show.
In the idea that it's somewhat a kind of a social selling tactic, but then also an awareness tactic, and, you know, and a community building tactic. So there's some bleed, you know, happening over into this space, and has been for a while now too. And you mentioned obviously that some of the people you work with and you noticed are business owners, so it's become, you know, it's a well-known process that's now bleeding over, I think, a lot more into the area of the startup ecosystem. Yeah, have you had much exposure to that side of things then, and like what would you say kind of some of the main takeaways that you've got from that?
So I think you've probably seen it a lot, like LinkedIn influencers. That's a thing now, you know, like, and you could have
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know if I'm convinced by that yet.
Not yet, but I think it's real. I think it's there, and I think
maybe
when
LinkedIn is trying as a platform to get there, but like it's struggling. I think
I saw an ad read
numbers
the
aren't
other
there.
day. I actually saw, well, not an ad read, but I saw an actual brand deal on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
And I was like, whoa, this is happening now. So I think especially when the generation
maybe I'm just bitter because no one's reached out to me yet. Where are my ad deals, guys?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
come on.
But I think the
Come on,
generation
OnlyFans.
that's coming in is one that's going to be used to some sort of creator. Like when I came in and I saw like the big corporate people who are I'd love to be connected with them and be working with them in some capacity, to be on that level. Like you look up and you see like who else is out there, and I think it does sometimes feel like, to me, if I go see them at an event, like especially when I was starting, it was a bit like, whoa, that's like that person, and like that, a bit of starstruck. But like obviously after a while it just goes, because you just realize that everyone's normal people, like creators as well. I think a lot of people coming in, I've seen it personally with team members, colleagues, have come in and then got overwhelmed with the fact that it was
there's an
creator,
idolization kind of thing.
Yeah. That.
Yeah, it's normal. We're human beings, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, of course. But sorry, I'm just trying to remember what the original point was. It was like we were talking about LinkedIn influencers, and then I went off
sort of founders and how they're sort of drawn into this brands now as a tactic, as almost a go-to-market tactic, really.
I think personal brands nowadays, I'm guilty of not doing it as much as I should be.
Right.
Is the LinkedIn posting has been slacking recently, but that's just because I've been working hard to get some projects really off the ground. I think airlines has been, like I said, it's been over 2 years, and that's taken up a lot of my time. And there's a few other things that are going on that are really interesting and exciting to bring to market. But yeah, your personal brand, you need to be a voice. You need to have something going on, especially on LinkedIn or on your socials, because then the inbound, it's almost like my point earlier, it's showing up. That's all it is. It's just showing up and still being there. You're not intruding on anyone. You're not being annoying. Like, you are just being there. You're just showing, you are selling yourself, but you're showing everyone that you know your stuff. You know what you're on about. You know what your product is about. You know your service. And people just need to then can consume it, and subconsciously it's going to be slowly chipping away and being like, oh, okay, actually, I know this person does this specific thing, so I want to go out and reach out to them. Like,
but it's tough, isn't it? Because of when I speak to a lot of the clients I work with, who they're business owners and they're looking for advice, they know that they should be doing that. So that if we go through the list, right, they're running a business, not always in tech. Sometimes it can be a physical business, services, whatever. They're running that. They're trying to manage their clients. They're trying to build a community, and then they know that they also should be doing the business stuff we're talking about, which is like, go for it, balls to the wall, as often as possible. Keep that pipeline, building. And then they're like, oh, and I'm meant to be, building an online presence. I'm meant to be building, making content. It's like, once they start looking at that, of what they're meant to do according to the world and everyone that's telling them to do it, it's overwhelming. And like, I totally get it, because it is overwhelming. Like, as someone that tries to do it myself, like I've got to a point now where I just do it when I feel like I can. I don't put outside pressure on myself. But like, I can totally see why that can be incredibly overwhelming. And in the end, people just end up doing hardly any of it because of, like you just said yourself, you've slacked with LinkedIn content creation because you've been focused on business development. And this is stuff that's tangible and has a real impact on the business. So then a lot of the time it's the decision of like, okay, well, if it's a choice between picking up the phone, sending out some emails, going to conferences, whatever, for really potentially tangible stuff that can generate revenue versus standing in front of a camera and talking shit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's like, what do I do? How do I best use my time? And this is the bit that I think people are really struggling with right now. They feel torn across all of the different things that they need to be doing on their business, which, like you said, is like a mixture of BDM, CEO, and influencer, and a medium production company, it's like, it's a lot, right? It's more overwhelming than it's ever been, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, like at the start of the call, you cannot do it all by yourself. It's such a hard thing to do. And I think you've got to have your bread and butter in place. You've got to have, obviously, the doing things and get the money in and have the cash flow right. But if you do get to a point where you just need a little bit of assistance in someone helping you create content, or you're thinking about your personal brand, getting someone in, there's a weird gap now in the market for like young people trying to enter into something, or trying to enter into industries, and there's not loads of jobs that are suited to them, but you've got to find the right ones that are. Not everyone's going to be in a position to be able to work for free, or that I see it all the time actually, that the entry level jobs still require like 3 years of experience and in this specific field, and can do all these amazing things when no one's going to give them the opportunity to get on board in the first place. And I think a lot of young people are more open to joining something and being a part of something bigger and better when there's an actual opportunity or like tangible value allocated to them. And I think you do need a bit of an injected youth to kind of come in, help grow, and just give a different perspective as well on loads of different things. So it is tough. I can't imagine, being the founder that's having to do absolutely anything and everything. But I think it's just being aware of the fact that you can't do it. You can't do everything and anything, and even if you can, then you're going to burn yourself out, and you're just not going to be enjoying the process of where you're going. So, I mean, if you can find some people, or like even put out something on LinkedIn every now and then, and you say you're looking for someone who's young, or not even necessarily young, but someone who's willing to take the step with you and be on a journey, and just assessing if that's going to be a good relationship to build something with. I think it's always worth a shot. Reaching out to a network and seeing who's about to help join.
Yeah, and I suppose there are a lot more accessible services out there now to help with that, if you've got the revenue to, the funds to do it. Yeah. Like, there are some amazing sort of new businesses I've seen pop up now that are offering, incredible packages for video content creation that will, sort of do interview style content, educational and entertainment style content, loads of stuff. But one of the things that I often advise for that is to do something similar to what I do, which is long form content that can be repurposed and used in multiple different ways. I'm a big fan of working smart, not hard, right? Yeah. So like, I say that either do a podcast, which, again, does the world really need one? Another one? Probably not, but, just adding to the noise like I do. But there's that. But there's also, I think, another one, which is, like workshops and things, because of, like you mentioned a couple of times about some of the content creators you work with, they're in the education space. I think that's incredibly important. If you know about a certain topic, especially that relates to your business and the audience that you're going after, and you can create content that's educational and entertaining around that topic, and in the form of a workshop where actually you're inviting people to it, and then you record that. I mean, then you've got content there already, and you're also doing business development. So it's like kill two birds with one stone, right? Invite your target audience to come, build early pipeline, but also record it. Also use that to engage with a pipeline. There are smart ways of doing this stuff, I think, that 100%. Often people don't realize, So yeah, but I think you're absolutely right. First and foremost, you've just got to focus on paying the bills. That's got to be top priority. Yeah. So yeah, sales before marketing. That's what I always say. The other interesting crossover, I guess, is between what you do and again, why I want to speak to you, because I had all these things in my head when we first met, was the fact that there are, on the odd occasion, there are businesses that I speak to that are a little further along in their life cycle, that they're doing well, and then they've now got some spend to throw at marketing, to throw into that casino. And one thing that can come up with certain businesses, depending on what the product or service is influencer marketing. so I'm assuming you probably had a good amount of exposure to this. So this isn't an area that I'm particularly confident in, and I usually defer to other people I know about that in these situations. What would you say is kind of some good advice to give to business owners who are looking to maybe work with influencers? Or, where do we even start, right? Say you've got a product, that influencers are going to be interested in promoting it or talking about it or using it. Where does a business owner or a business even start at that point in time, and what maybe should they look out for, some of the pitfalls there?
I think a good practice or a good few tips to brands and obviously companies looking to partner with creators or influencers is always to be open-minded. This is a new space for you. It's probably a new space for them in terms of like how they want the brand deal to go. They are the creatives in this space. They're the ones who know the audience. If you knew how to sell your product to that audience in their way, then you wouldn't need them. Like, they do provide value, and I think it's very basic surface level stuff, but you're not going to be partnering with creators that you like, because you watch the content personally, but your product might not even be anywhere near what the influencer actually wants to be doing. If you're a tech company, then why are you going to be partnering with an automotive creator? That's just because you like cars on the side. It's very basic stuff there, but I think people still make that mistake. People just chuck money at it and then go, yeah, find me a bunch of influencers that would do this, and then they just might not even match right. And I think the best way to go about it is finding those creators that are really interested in your product. And I think we're starting to see a turn now where influencers are actually reaching out to brands that they want to work with, and even lowering their rates, offering discounts, all sorts of stuff to like form that partnership. And I think the best way to go about it is always looking for the long term. You want a brand ambassador, you want someone that's going to be a champion for you to help scale you. I think that's the way you've got to look at it, rather than being, you look at Gymshark, for example. Those people have partnered with athletes, influencers, etc., to help drive their business, but there are set values and rules that they have to keep them on. And if you break those, then you're gone. That's a way of really bringing in the audience and growing your brand even further. But regards to just got a bit blank there, but
that's fine. What are some of the things to maybe look out for then? Some of the the red flags, because obviously I've heard some horror stories too of people reaching out to influencers. They thought it was a good deal and then just nothing came from it. And then in retrospect, they're like, I should have known. Maybe it was in some ways to do with what you were just saying there about making sure it's the right audience, not just someone that you kind of, fall in love with for the wrong reasons. But maybe from your experience, there might be some other things to watch out for. Is there a certain amount of due diligence, perhaps, that someone should be doing on an influencer? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, I think it is tough because it's such a new space that, it's been around for a decade now, or it's been around for even longer than that in terms of like traditional celebrities and doing their influencer brand deals.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to a point where we've got agencies as middlemen to like come in. There's a lot of great agencies out there, loads. There's also some sharks out there. So it's partnering up with the right agency who's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, finding the influencers. There's also agencies that are probably going to be shoving influencers that you don't really want to be working with down your throat, and then just because they know that they can get an extra margin on it. Or there's and the due diligence side of things, it's like you can't, it's, as you said, it's casino, right? Like marketing is that you could be partnering with someone and then it's a great partnership and you've had it for a year, 2 years, and then all of a sudden there's a scandal, or even a month, there's a scandal, and then now your brand's tarnished or your product is tarnished because you partnered with that person. But like that's the name of the game, really. You can't you can't predict any of that, and you can't predict the future. So
what are some metrics that you think that that businesses should be absolutely asking for up front before entering into any kind of deal? Are there some just absolute standard stuff that is just non-negotiable on that front?
I mean, like, always always be transparent with your budgets, your rates. I think that's particularly important. And then they will be transparent with you. You know, and in regards to engagement, I think it's always good to have a look at a lot of agencies will provide that for you anyway, you know,
Right.
and I think the due diligence side of things for the brands and the companies is actually looking through their Instagram feed or their TikTok or like their socials and looking through and seeing what the comments are, like having a look at their community. I think their community and the comments provide a lot of insight into what the influencer actually is. You know, like I wouldn't be too bothered about like, you know, the likes. I think comments are obviously paint a wider picture.
Right.
You know, you've got a lot of
Because
quality.
ultimately that's who you're paying to access, right? Are those
Exactly.
individuals. So I guess it's a good indication of how engaged they are, but also their views on things and what they might respond to. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Other things that you would need, I think as well, I'd always recommend, if you're dipping your toe into it, I'd always recommend partnering with an agency first, and trial out a couple of agencies as well, in terms of like, you don't have to sign up. You can send out your campaign, you can send out your brief to multiple agencies, and then have conversations with them, like, and go with someone that you trust and you think is actually knows their stuff and is actually going to be, you know, providing you with examples of creators that you think would actually fit with your brand or fit with your company. Because then you can see what they do. They can give you reports afterwards and see how it's actually gone. And I think then you can take all the learnings from that and start looking at doing it in-house, or, you know, scaling that. And I think you can develop a really great, easy partnership. And that's why so many agencies like exist. I think there's a lot of agencies that, you know, come up. The lots of agencies are created and then go within a year or 2 years, but like the long-standing ones are always the ones that have done pretty good work.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because there are a lot of on the other side of it, there are a lot of content creators that don't have a business acumen, right? Which I'm sure is exactly why you were in business, right?
I'd say probably 50 to 70% of creators.
Well, yeah, because that's not what they're in it for. They're in it because they're passionate about the content they create, you know, whether that's a specific topic or, you know, whatever it might be. That's the thing they're passionate about, right? So this other stuff is kind of like sometimes just thrust upon them because of success that they weren't expecting.
Yep.
And now it's like, oh, crap, now I've got to run a business. And that's alien to them. So there's an enormous sort of need there to have people come in and help them structure that and make the most out of that opportunity sometimes.
I think the personalities of creators as well, just as a whole, you know, they are very creative. They are outside of the box thinkers. So their communication probably isn't great. Like it is very hard to find those top 10% creators who know what they're doing. They're great at content creation and they're also great at business. There's a lot of creators who are just enjoying living in the moment. Then they're going on holiday, then they're doing something else. And then like they completely forget there's no admin or organization to help organize everything that they've got going on. And I think that's what a lot of companies get turned off by, and that's why I think agencies, as much as sometimes like agencies can't help that creators are like that, sometimes it's just trying to find those right ones. You're gonna, like anything, you're gonna try things out, and you're gonna probably partner with some creators that you wouldn't like to partner with again, but then you're going to partner with some creators who you think, wow, that's a genuine synergy there, and we need to continue working together. You know, that's the whole point of it. And I think instead of just being skeptical towards it, you've just got to include it within your marketing strategy, because, you know, it's a bit like crypto. It's diversifying your portfolio. Some people are like, yeah, you know, if you're not in it to win it, then what are you doing? You know, I'm not saying put everything into it, but, you know,
it reminds me a lot of working with musicians, because I used to work with musicians back in the day, in a former life, in a former business. And yeah, I mean, musicians are very much like that. Like you said, creative individuals, right? They're passionate about what they're creating, and it's very rare that you come across those musicians in this space that have the business acumen as well. As maybe the awareness of like leveraging things like social media or or whatever else, how to market themselves, how to promote themselves, how to communicate with vendors and venues and managers and all that. It's like,
If you are enjoying this episode and want to support the show, please like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. This lets YouTube know we are doing something right. Back to the show.
it's a lot, right? It's a big, very, very broad skill set, and to have that and also the incredible talent and creativity, energy, and everything you need is asking a lot. And it's like, well, let's just let them. I mean, there's a reason why you say like they're the talent, let them be the talent, and we'll manage the business. Like that's why there's often a village around people who are in the creative space, because you need it. Let them do their thing, and we'll make it work, kind of thing, right? And so I see that there's a lot of similarities between, and of course, a lot of content creators are musicians. Like so, more and more now. There's an example of that. There's one example of that which I think breaks the mold a little bit, which I've talked about a few times. I'd love to get him on the show one day. There's an artist called Ren. Are you familiar with him? Yeah, incredible guy, incredible musician, but also he's got an incredible vision for like community and his business. You can tell he's really got his head screwed on when it comes to those sort of things. But they're rare individuals to come across. You don't get as many individuals like that that are so conscientious and thoughtful about what they're building and the legacy that they could potentially be leaving behind, as well as being insanely talented. Like, we need more people to be aware of that. I just wish that in school or whatever, we were being a little bit more direct about the different skill sets that you might need to pursue something like that. Whether it's to be a streamer, to be a gamer, whatever the hell it is. I mean, I just wish we were doing that a bit more,
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, you see academies and courses coming up now where
Okay.
Creators themselves, proven creators, are then releasing this and helping individuals grow, develop a team, teach them all the basics to live the life that they want to live. There's more of that out there, and I think there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be companies that will be a one-stop shop. It will just be like, you've got some foundations here. We can now help and scale you to the stars. There's
right.
There'll be people that make it,
like talent scouts, and then they'll
I think that's definitely the future for sure. I think there's still there's a few around now, but I think we're getting to a point now where there's a lot of creators and a lot of big influencers who are coming to the end of their life cycle, in terms of like, they've built such an amazing legacy, but it's now like, well, there's not much further you can actually go,
right, in terms of the content,
consistent, and then you start looking at building your own brands and building your legacy in another way, where you don't have to constantly be on camera. Live your life and do what you want to do, and invest in certain projects, help other people get to that point. And obviously the brands that you build are the ones that you have more ownership in. You're going to be getting more revenue for that anyway. So it's interesting.
Yeah. It's an interesting life cycle, isn't it? Because we're at a stage now, like you say, where we're seeing the sort of the twilight years of some of the content creators that came up sort of over the last 10, 15 years. And it's really interesting to see now what they're sort of branching into. Like, I don't see it long, for example, before Mr. Beast kind of hangs his hat up and focuses more on the business endeavors that he's already very clearly sort of set up. And I feel like part of that is maybe because he wants to move away from being on camera. That's probably seen. We've seen PewDiePie pretty much go into retirement at this point, and just be a vlogger, really. Like, I wonder what. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where some of these content creators go in the next couple of years, once they realize they no longer want to be the face of their brand and they want to kind of build an empire. And what does that look like? What form does that take? Is it just in snacks and energy drinks? Because I really hope not. Like,
No, I hope not. I really hope not. That's yeah, so tough.
I would like to see I would like to see capital investment firms, venture capital firms being created by them specifically for content, the creator economy. Like, I'd like to see, sort of some infrastructural decisions being made by some of these content creators to really be, like you say, kind of give back to these newer up and coming generations, some really big fundamental changes there that I think these guys are in a great position to finance.
Well, I think it's when I mentioned earlier that there's been a massive influx of finance companies entering into the creator economy. We've now had, there's a good 4 or 5 companies now that will actually invest into YouTube channels, take ownership or equity out of it, either own the whole thing. And these deals are massive, they're huge, $100 million deals. So
well, if anyone wants to get in touch, now's your opportunity.
But the channels that they're going after are faceless channels, or it's removing of the creator, or being able to slowly phase out a creator or build out a media business. Bringing new characters in and making it like a new show or a new format,
like a network kind of thing.
Yeah, like that's the way to go. Whereas if you're a creator, I think it's quite tough to be doing all these things, going through this cycle, and then probably get to a point where you're burnt out, you don't know what else to do, you haven't pivoted in every 2 years to like keep on top of trends, or kind of reinvent yourself to attract new audiences and also keep the same audience and grow. Like, people grow and change all the time, but I think as creators you have to really continue to grow out and rely on other people, bring people in to your story, bringing people into your content, because then you can look at phasing out. And I think we're going to see a new generation now where people are just going to start making content, start building studios, and then get to a point where it's like, I've got a business now and I actually don't need to be a part of this. I can just like move myself out because I'm just making really good content. I'm making this almost like TV show or films or other styles of content that's not needed of me.
That's a really good point, actually, as well, is that there are so many content creators that they are not part of it at all, right? There's something that I watched recently. It was an animated series that I started watching of this guy who completely made everything himself, and I was entirely engrossed in it. It was beautifully made. I mean, it was Netflix worthy stuff. And there's a ton of examples of stuff like that out there, of people creating their own worlds, their own series, whatever it might be. Documentaries is a really big one. And yeah, I mean, that's part of the creator economy, but we don't think of it as such, because again, going back to the beginning of part 1 when we were talking about it, people often just immediately think of influencers when they think of that, which is by definition about them and about their face and about them as being the brand. But there's a lot more to it than that. There's an enormous amount of nuance and different categories within this space that we don't think of. I mean, I think about, just thinking about the content I watch is pretty broad. Most of it, I would say about maybe 60-70% of it are usually going to feature the same, a same face more often. But then there's a good 30-40%, I suppose, which it's not driven by any particular individual. It is just content that is either documentary or animated or whatever, or short films, stuff like that, which is hugely interesting. It's interesting that, because I'm at a point now with this channel, for example, where we've seemed to have reached an inflection point around September. By the time this comes out, it'll be a bit later, but around September, where for whatever reason we just started hitting an inflection point. Videos started breaking the 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 view territory.
And nice, congrats.
Thank you, and hopefully that trajectory continues. I know obviously this world can be a bit volatile. It might drop down again and go up again, but we'll see. And it's pretty cool. But and then obviously now it's invited conversations to do with brand sponsorships, and we're now going to be doing that. Early conversations, and still looking for doing some live stuff coming up soon. But I've always been of the opinion that. And I've said this from day one, I do this purely because I genuinely enjoy doing it. And the moment I stop enjoying doing it, I'm just going to stop doing it. It's that simple. I don't ever want this to feel like a job. I look forward to having these conversations with people when they're in my diary. And I want that to remain the same. If it ever feels like it's going to become a chore, I'll just stop doing it.
Stop,
Like, simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which maybe I shouldn't say, because otherwise brands might get a bit scared of working with me.
No, yeah.
But it's all right. It's booked up. We've got plenty of guests booked up until January, so you're good. If you want to work with me, you're fine. Anyone out there listening? But yeah, I mean, do you have any advice for me?
I think that's
let's just be direct. I mean, with the situation that I'm in, and
how long have you been doing it for?
So May of last year, this all started.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I think consistency is always key. Like, there probably will be a point where you're not going to be as massively interested in doing this. Or there'll be some conversations that you haven't enjoyed, but the reason why so many creators brands on YouTube have been successful is because they just kept going. That persistence that you have in your sales experience and everything else that you've done, all the amazing things that you've achieved, you just need to apply that to this. It needs to be a case of, I am still continuing to do this. I may not love it, but I know for a fact that, you're starting to see some results now, and you're starting to get to the higher threshold of views. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep continuing. And then it's also just evolving. If, say, for example, you're not fully enjoying the format that you're doing, then it's like, fine, change it up. Do something that you actually do enjoy. Like you might dedicate a whole section of like random questions or like funny questions, or you can be extremely creative with it because it's yours. It's your podcast. Right. You can do what you want. But just make sure that you're doing the things to enjoy it and ultimately providing value to the listeners. That's the most important thing, because then you can feel fulfilled whilst you're doing it, and also enjoy the process of it. But it's consistency, it's adaptability, and evolving. That's all you need to continue doing, because hats off to you, hats off to creators and anyone who's doing like social content, because I know I see it all the time with the creators that I work with. I know how hard it is, and I know how the algorithms change. I understand the platforms very well. I know that they can come in and change things overnight, and you'd be doing really well one day and terrible the next. It is a real uphill battle, and the platforms aren't very sympathetic with how they treat the creators that come on. And
yeah, it still boggles my mind. Like there's seemingly no rhyme or reason for some things. Like I said, for episodes to go from a couple of thousand views to suddenly 20,000 for one episode in September, it's like, how did that happen? And then immediately after that, one episode was being suppressed, and we were only getting a couple of hundred, and it's like and then the same on TikTok and stuff. It's just there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for it. Obviously, if I'm sure people who are in the know can explain that in more detail. But it's just me and a couple of freelancers, and we're building out the team and so on. But we haven't got the time to delve into that. At least not right now. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure if we had a team of people around us full time looking into this, then they'd be able to make changes, edit the video, whatever it might be, to make them all consistently work. But it's difficult, It
is, and I think as well, it's worth noting a lot of creators that you see who are super successful, or brands, podcasts, etc., that have just shot to fame. There's the ones that are really successful really quickly. There's usually some form of success that they're riding off the back of to help promote that.
Right.
And then the other side of it is, I've been so many conferences that have had the creators talk, and they've had this overnight success, but they've been working on their channel for 4 years.
Yeah, like there's no such thing as overnight success.
There really isn't. So they've just randomly been discovered, like in a time that wasn't right for them back then, but is now right for them now. Right. And I think a lot of people who are interested in doing content and being content creators or growing their personal brand on here, a lot of people are like, oh, I'll do it for like 6 months, I'll do it for a year or whatever, I'll stick to it then, and if it's not working, then it's not working. I think you've got, especially nowadays, you've got to be sticking at least 2 years of your life agreeing to do this consistently and improving every time. And I think a lot of people still expect these results to come in quicker. But it's like, it just doesn't happen that way. There's so much competition that's out there now. There's so much noise.
Yeah.
You have to keep showing up. I think there's been a common theme throughout this. It's just showing up on content side of things, showing up at events, showing up on sales, showing up on.
And if you're passionate about it, you're not going to give up, right?
No.
Let's be honest. If you're really, really passionate about it, then you're not going to take no for an answer.
I think there is passion can go. Passion ebbs and flows.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's true.
So when passion goes down, passion decreases, you have to have your discipline, you have to have your consistency there to help rectify it and keep it there, because passion's short spurts every now and then. Every job that you have, some days you'll absolutely love it and some days you'll absolutely hate it and question what you're doing, and like nothing's going to be enough because we're all human beings. But I think you just have to counterbalance the passion with the discipline, and that's something that I think for you, if this is something that you're saying, oh look, if I don't enjoy this, then just adapt a little bit more, make it.
Well, that's it. I think I'm in a very fortunate position because I enjoy the conversations for the conversations. Like honestly, like that's my position on it, and I never expected to get to where we are with the views or anything like that.
Nice.
And I honestly, in some ways, it doesn't really matter, whether or not that continues or not. I will still keep doing this because that's not the goal, right? There isn't a goal here to be a content creator. The goal here is to have interesting conversations with interesting people, and then if other people get something from that, great. And that can be 5 people, that can be 500 people, that can be 50,000. I don't care, And so as long as that's the case, as long as I keep enjoying these conversations, then the rest doesn't matter. Like doing all the brand deals and the sponsorships and all that. Okay, cool. That's great because then it pays a little bit for the time. It can pay maybe towards doing some more cool stuff too that we've got planned of in-person stuff, some live stuff, loads of cool ideas. But it's like, if that doesn't happen, I'm still going to book these calls with people and I'm still going to have these conversations and I'm still going to enjoy it.
Yeah, so you still learn something from it. You're still
exactly. I get so much out of these conversations. Like from speaking with you today, I've learned so much. And I've got the chance to meet you and make a connection with you. I mean, for me, that's more valuable than anything else. Is connecting with people, learning about what drives them. I find that inspirational and I find that motivating myself. I get motivated by other people's motivation and inspiration. So it's very, very selfish. I'm always telling people when they ask me why do I do this show, I'm like, it's very, very selfish. I do it purely for me. Because I really genuinely enjoy it, and I'm sure out of it a lot more than I think my guests do, to be quite honest. And I don't care. I'm like, tough. That's I'm honest about that. So the moment that stops happening, occasionally I'll have a break, of course, but not very long. And of course, because of the way that the episodes are recorded in advance from a content release perspective, it's never really too effective.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but you're similar in a mindset to me, where I'm a firm believer in your network is your net worth.
That's it's a cliched saying, but it is true. Yeah.
But I think meeting people are very people focused. It is all. You could be the smartest guy on earth, the smartest person on earth, and still not have.
I wouldn't want to be. That's the thing. I want to speak to the smartest people on earth. That's what I want.
Exactly.
Because that's how I'm gonna. That's the only way I can develop and grow as a human being, right?
Exactly.
You can only become a better chess player by playing better chess players. It's that same old thing, but also just getting enjoyment out of it. We're social beings at the end of the day, so we've got to put ourselves in social situations, and a lot of working from home and things like that. It can be quite transactional. The conversations you have with people. You're always looking to get something out of someone, and that can be quite exhausting. So just having the space and the room to breathe. That's why I like doing these long conversations too. Is there's room for nuance to have conversations like this, whereas otherwise you're quite time constrained. It's like, okay, come up with a soundbite. Do I sound intelligent? It's like I don't give a shit. If I sound intelligent, I know I don't most of the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like, who cares? Let's have a real conversation. So yeah. Anyway, man, look, we've come to the end. Great timing. of the show. But yeah, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. Hugely interesting what you've done, what you're doing, what you're going to be doing. I'll include your LinkedIn and the website for Wild Vision down below. But is there anywhere else you want to send people to on the subject of socials or anything like that?
No, I think Wild Vision is all good. Wild Vision and me, that's fine. Yeah, you can. I've spelt out a few people as well on
Cool.
a few platforms. But no, thank you very much. I really appreciate you reaching out and having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And
Awesome.
yeah, with looking forward to staying in touch and seeing what you do with this as well. Any advice, feel free to reach out.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I might well need it. Avoid getting screwed over by some brand deal or something like that. Maybe I'll ask you.
Right.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, yeah, thanks again so much for taking the time. And yeah, I hope it all continues to go well with Wild Vision. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening and or watching. Please like and subscribe. Or if you are listening via podcasting service and want to show your support, consider rating or leaving a review. It really helps. See you next week.